Hey guys, welcome back to the Beauty in Her Serving Christ. For those of you who don't know, my name is Naya. So today I want to speak to you guys about breakthrough moments, and I want to speak to you about you at a stage where you are just almost at this place of giving up, where you are almost confused, constantly confused about what this next step is supposed to look like, and you feel like you've done all the steps, you feel like you fasted and prayed, you feel like you've reached a certain level, but you're still confused as to where are you, God? Why are you not moving? Why have you decided to keep me in this place of suffering? And I want to speak to that place. I want to speak to that person who is sitting here and trying to figure out what to do next. And I want to tell you clearly, as the Lord spoke to me, I'm going to speak to you. The next step is for you to get up and for you to move. The next step is for you to do exactly what Hannah did and begin to pray and cry out to the Lord. Receive His word for the season that you are in. Hold on to it and take your next step. Hold on to it and begin to conceive. Hold on to it and trust that you will bear fruit in the season that He has placed you in. And a lot of the times when we sit and we're wondering, God, when are you going to move? What is the next step? Why am I still here? What have I done? You ask the Lord sometimes, you say, what have I done to get to this place? I thought that when I said, Lord, yes to you, and I surrendered this to you, when I said, okay, God, here I am, that this would be it. This would be breakthrough. This would be the move that I needed. And I want to speak to you about Hannah, because for years, Hannah was not able to conceive, for years. And there's almost this place of complacency that she begins to get in, that her bitterness, her depression, her sadness, her inability to conceive brings her to this place of complacency of just like, well, I've already done what I needed to do. I'm already at this place. I've already accepted it. And I want to tell you, stop accepting it. Stop accepting the provoking of the enemy. There's this scripture that it was so profound, because I was asking the Lord as I was reading it. And I was asking God, well, Lord, why? Why did Hannah get to this place? And I'm going to read to you in 1 Samuel. It says, 1 Samuel verse 6. And her rival used to provoke her grievously to irritate her, because the Lord had closed her womb. And that scripture, that verse just troubled me, because I'm looking at it and it says her rival, which is Penina, her rival used to provoke her grievously to irritate her because the Lord had closed her womb. And I'm like, Lord, you closed her womb. You closed her womb. Why did you do that? Like, why would you close her womb? But yet and still, what the Lord revealed to me in that very moment was, it wasn't just the fact that I closed her womb. But you're sitting there, the rival is provoking you, knowing that he has not done this thing. He has not put you in this place. He has not allowed you to be here, but you're focusing on what the rival is grievously provoking you on, and that is the enemy. That is your lying flesh, your thoughts that are trying to come and provoke you grievously, telling you, yeah, you can't conceive. You won't bear fruit. And he's making you believe that this is untouchable because he has his hand on it. This is something that you cannot get to. And I'm going to continue to tease you about it, but he knows that's where his limitation is. But if he can get to the place where he can confuse your vision, where he can get to the place where he can cause you to just sit and grieve, if he can get you to the place where you have to sit there and keep thinking about the provocation, the things that you cannot have, what you're not bearing in this season, when he knows that the power is not his hand, his power is not on this. It is the Lord's. The Lord placed it here. The Lord gave you this thing. But the enemy wants you to get distracted with the provocation. He wants you to get distracted with what he's telling you. He wants you to think about, yeah, see, look, you can't do this, but it's taking your eyes off of what God is waiting for you to do. Because he knows that if you focus on the fact that he's not the one that closed your womb, but it is the Lord, that he knows that you will have a Hannah moment. He knows that you will go to the Lord in prayer, that you will cry out to him, offer your seed to him, lay down a sacrifice to him, and he doesn't want you to have that moment. So he wants to distract you by the ways that he's provoking you. But right now I came to speak over to you the same way the Lord spoke over to me. No longer will you focus on the provocation of the enemy, what the enemy is trying to tell you, but instead you will will go and move to the Lord. You will be like Hannah and pray and cry out to the Lord in a way that you have never done it before. Because I can already hear you saying, but I've already done that. I've already asked the Lord. I've already went to Him. I already prayed and I've fasted. But the Lord is waiting for something else. I asked the Lord in that moment, I said, Lord, why did you close her womb? And He said, keep reading. And He said, when you get to verse 2, it's because I was waiting on the prayer of Hannah. If you look at chapter 2, it says Hannah's prayer. And if you read it, it blessed my soul. Hannah's prayer, she says, my heart exults in the Lord and my horn is exalted in the Lord. My mouth derides my enemies because I rejoice in your salvation. The Lord is trying to get you to a place where your mouth derides your enemies, derides the lies of the enemy. He wants to get you a place where you pray to Him and rejoicing because He has moved on your behalf. I want to encourage you, no longer sit there and get distracted by the way that the enemy is, your rivals are continuing to provoke you for what you are not bearing in this season, but get like Hannah. Get like Hannah the same way that it says. It says, and Hannah rose. She got up. She said no longer. It says she was deeply distressed and prayed to the Lord and wept bitterly. Deeply distressed. And she vowed a vow and said, Lord, O Lord of hosts. Hannah just didn't call on Lord, my God. She uses a specific name because she knew the weight. She knew what she had been going through for years. And so she used a specific name for the Lord. She said, O Lord of hosts. That is the army of the Lord. That is the Lord who has thousands behind Him. Oh, Lord of hosts. I'm not just calling on the Lord, my creator. I'm not just calling on the Lord, my redeemer. I'm not just calling on the Lord, my salvation, but I'm calling on the Lord who has thousands in heaven in His army. That is the Lord. I'm calling on the Lord that will move on my behalf. She was specific in the name and she said, oh, Lord of hosts. If you will indeed look on the affliction of your servant, I'm challenging you to get into your prayer closet and don't just call on the Lord. Lord, it's me again. Hey, Lord, I'm crying again. No, I am calling. I'm making a demand. I'm commanding. I'm declaring the Lord of hosts. Recognize who you are as a child of God. Get up. Get up and move and begin to call on the Lord of hosts, the God who moves in every situation, the God who takes things that were once barren and causes it to bear much fruit, the God who looks at the desolate, who looks at the desert and makes rivers out of it, who looks at you in your wilderness and says, I have made a way for you. Call on the Lord of hosts. He's waiting for you. You've been sitting there and taking these lies, taking these beatings, taking this mindset. And Lord's like, I closed the womb so that I can get you to hear. I paused this in this season so I can get you to come to me. And I can get you to recognize that I'm not just the Lord who called you fearfully and wonderfully made, who knew you from before your mother's womb, who marked you and set apart. I'm the Lord of hosts. I'm the Lord that has thousands. That is who I am. I want you to know this version of me. I want you to know every name that I come in. Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Sabaoth. I want you to know that I am the Lord of hosts and that I move on behalf of those who cry out to me with an understanding. Begin to cry out to God with an understanding of who you are calling upon. That the rival can continue to make his little antagonistic marks, his sayings. But if the Lord has decided to close it, it is the Lord who I shall focus on. It is the Lord that I will call on. And I'm going to call on the right name of the Lord. I'm going to call on the Lord that I know, who is the Lord of hosts, to move into my situation. And I'm going to lay down this sacrifice. She didn't just call on the Lord of hosts, but she laid down a sacrifice. She gave it to God. She said, I vow a vow, Lord, that if you indeed will indeed look upon your servant. I'm going to challenge you guys today. And I had to challenge myself in that same way. Get in your prayer closet and begin to pray like Hannah prayed. So much so that Eli the priest thought she was going crazy because she was just speaking, but no words were coming out, but it was in her heart. She was speaking from her heart. The Lord had brought her to a place. He was waiting for that place where she was speaking to Him from the heart. Because He needed her to get to that place where Hannah's prayer, she said, my heart exults in the Lord. It rejoices in the Lord. That is the place that God is calling me to. And so this message is for you. I know I haven't been recording in a while, and I wanted to come and share everything that's been going on, but we'll focus on that later. I just need to get on here and encourage you with this word. Get in your Hannah prayer closet. Begin to call on the Lord of hosts and watch Him move. You move. Watch God move. Breakthrough is here for you. But you have to get up and stop listening to the lies of the enemy and staying down. Get up. Call on the Lord of hosts and walk as if so as Hannah walked. After she prayed, her heart was full. She was filled with joy. She had nothing to worry about. She left it alone. Call on the Lord of hosts. Begin to move like you already know that He has done it. Breakthrough is here for you. The Lord is just waiting for you to come to Him.